Today I'm doing a project called Lil Bits. This is number 1. I have a query letter paragraph, I have one paragraph from a short story, and I have about a page and a half from a fantasy novel that I'm working on. So the idea is that I'm going to do a really focused rewrite, look at what I want to change, make changes, describe them, talk about them. So first is this query letter. This is the very first paragraph of the query letter. And the goal here is to let's say goal number 1 is make it flow. Number 2, have it be concise. And number 3 would be let's just go, we'll just say 1 and 2. Ash leaves his secluded homeland and journeys across the world he plans to conquer. The only part that I'm questioning is he plans to conquer. Do I like that wording? And do I like the world? Or do I want to say the land he plans to conquer? Or the lands? I think I like that. I think I'm happy with that. The main thing here is he's guided by the entity Crackness, which inhabits his mind and grants him magic. So the focus of the query letter, it needs to be really concise. So I have a plan for 3 paragraphs. And the first paragraph, I wanted this. Okay, so the goal of this paragraph was to show Ash's ignorance of the world. So he's guided and maybe educated. Maybe I like that. Let's change. I don't like this purple. This was from before. No, no, it feels redundant. Guiding implies some kind of education. He's guided by the entity Crackness, which inhabits his mind and grants him magic in exchange for obedience. And then this is really what I want to focus on right here. It's such a long sentence. Though Ash's mission is simple, gather allies and place wisp stones throughout the world, allowing him to teleport to and attack key locations in a blitzkrieg-style attack, other characters confound his efforts in unique ways. That's really a long sentence. So it doesn't flow as well as I would like. We need to break it apart. So I could say, with Crackness's help, Ash gathers allies and places wisp stones throughout the world. He will, when his once his army is gathered, he'll be able to concise. He can teleport to and attack key locations in a blitzkrieg style attack. However, other characters confound his efforts in unique ways, calling into question everything Crackness has taught Ash. Okay, so I broke it apart. I'm not sure about the word unique. Let me read this one more time. Ash leaves his secluded homeland and journeys across the lands he plans to conquer. He's guided by the entity Crackness, which inhabits his mind and grants him magic in exchange for obedience. With Crackness's help, Ash gathers allies and places wisp stones throughout the world. I think I can cut this because, again, I've already said that he's guiding him. Ash gathers allies and places wisp stones throughout the world. Once his army is gathered, he can teleport to and attack key locations in a blitzkrieg-style attack. However, other characters confound his efforts. I could probably just cut in unique ways. Calling into question everything Crackness has taught Ash. Now, this part I'm still not sure about. It's not that they're confounding his efforts. They are befriending him. Welcome, Ash. Befriend Ash. Other characters show Ash unexpected kindness and fellowship, calling into question everything he knows. Okay, that's better. It's more concise. Ash leaves his secluded homeland and journeys across the lands he plans to conquer. He's guided by Crackness. Ash gathers allies and places wisp stones throughout the world. Once his army is gathered, he can teleport to and attack key locations in a blitzkrieg-style attack. However, other characters show Ash unexpected kindness and fellowship, calling into question everything he knows. That's good. We've got right here, we've got conflict. He's questioning everything. Here we have obedience, right? This is not this is not a healthy relationship. Crackness is only offering the magic in exchange for obedience, and that's going to be the idea in the second paragraph, that Ash is becoming a man, and he's becoming his own person, and he's finding his place in the world, making him question Crackness's motives. Gathers once he can teleport to. This looks good. It's such a long, complicated novel, but this gives us a very clear idea of what Ash is doing and the fact that he's going to run into these other characters. So I would say, make it flow. Yes. Goal achieved. I need a check mark. I need a check mark that I can add. Let's see. I'll just highlight it. Make it flow. Is it concise? Let's look one more time. Ash leaves his secluded homeland and journeys across the lands he plans to conquer. He is guided by the entity Crackness, which inhabits his mind and grants him magic. Maybe I like shares, which shares his mind and grants him magic in exchange for obedience. Ash gathers allies and places wisp stones throughout the world. Once his army is gathered, he can teleport to and attack key locations. However, others show unexpected kindness and fellowship, calling into. I'm happy. I'm very happy with that. And it shows Ash's ignorance. That's wrong thing. So that's it. That's one paragraph. That's the idea. Do it quickly. Do it quickly, carefully. It's only a little bit, but having just a little bit, I can focus on really tightening it. The second is a paragraph from a short story. So this is a short story that I'm working on my stream. It is a high fantasy a plant monster. It's an unintentional retelling of Jack and the Beanstalk, but not really. Okay, it involves magic seeds, monster seeds. So there is a little bit of a connection there. So this is the second paragraph of that story. And overall, I was very happy with the first paragraph. This is the paragraph that needs the most work near the beginning. The goal here... Let's see. The goal here, goals number 1, make some decisions about the kids. Who are they? Personality. That's number 1. Give the kids names. We can do that fairly quickly. Well, whatever pops into my head, I'll use. That's number 2. I would also say make some minor cuts. So this I'm happy with. His kids would have understood. He has gone into a dark alley following a shadowy figure. We don't really know what's happening yet. All we know is that our main character Rick is following this character because of a longing for adventure, and his kids would have understood. I liked the idea that some part of the father is relatable to the children. So I'm going to keep this idea of the son, Rick's oldest son. I was going to have one son and two daughters, right? So Rick's son, the first name that pops into my head. Saml. Samly. I don't want to. I thought of Samuel, but I already don't like it. That's the problem. Rick's son. Nikki. Why not? Was a window into his own past, daydreaming more often than not about joining the Kingsguard and practicing shoddy sword work against unimpressed cows. I think we can cut that. Split it. More often than not, Nikki shirked his chores he daydreamed about joining the Kingsguard and practiced shoddy sword work against unimpressed cows. That could be a single paragraph. The girls didn't seem to be afraid of anything aside from their mother's threatening scowls. This is the part that I'm really not sure about. I haven't decided about the girls. Do I want them to be twins? That was an idea I had. And I think I had that idea just because it would be so simple. Then I don't have to worry about two different ages, but I don't want to do that. There should be a middle and a younger. I like the idea that they're not afraid of anything. And so instead of aside from, including their mother's threatening scowls. And then I had the idea that she used to hit Nikki with a switch because it led to the girls running away or stealing it. But it's been a couple days since I wrote that, and I don't know if I want to keep it. Thrice a day since his second birthday to no avail, and though she reached for it when the girls were acting out, they either disappeared before she could lay her hands on it, or she found it gone. See, so I'm thinking another I'm thinking about a comparison. Other parents would have switched seven-year-old Rose. I don't like Rose. 7-year-old Mary. I like the idea of Mary with an I. Mari, Mary. When she did something mischievous. When she climbed out the attic window to do something on the roof. What would a little girl do on the roof? To search for birds' nests on the roof. Or when, let's make one of the daughters really young. When, I think four. Oh gosh, is 4 too young? I think 4's okay. 4-year-old, or when 4-year-old. Okay, now I need another girl's name. See, when I think about the names, I'm thinking about Nicky. Nicky could be Nicholas. So when he's in trouble, mom or dad could say the full name, Nicholas. Rick is Rickard. The mother's name for now is Elm. That could be a longer name. Mary would be Marigold. The youngest could be... I'll use my daughter's name. I often do that. I just plug in my children's names. Faye. When 4-year-old Faye. Now, what would a 4-year-old do? What kind of mischief would she get into? What do my own children do? When 4-year-old Faye... Or when 4-year-old Faye... hid all the chicken eggs. Somewhere. Hid them somewhere. Where would be a funny place to hide chicken eggs? Somewhere that they would crack and break. No, here, better yet. Planted a dozen chicken eggs. I always use dozen as a number. It's something I really have to keep an eye on. Let's say a week's worth of chicken eggs in the garden, dreaming of a magical plant that would bloom into baby chicks. That's rough, but I like that idea. The only problem I foresee with that is the story's already about a magical plant. So is this a positive thing or a negative thing? In my mind, it's a positive thing. The young girl is already dreaming of magical plants. Maybe that's one of the motivations for Rick to buy the magical seed that he buys. And the girl can be really impressed by it. So, yes, I like that. I like that. That actually fits really nicely. And then Elm had used thrice a day since decided to no van. Though she reached for her, they either disappear. So then I think we can cut this. And so let's look at our goals. Make some decisions about the kids. Who are they and the personality? Goal achieved. We have names for all three children. Nikki is a daydreamer, wants to be a knight. We have the two girls, we have names. Mari is adventurous. 4-year-old Faye is mischievous and has a child's imagination, a young child's imagination, dreaming of a magical plant that would bloom into baby chicks. So that's good. Give the kids names, that's done. And make some cuts, done. I cut all that stuff about punishing them. That doesn't fit. This is supposed to be a really happy, loving family. There could be punishments, but it wouldn't be a physical corporal punishment style. This is the big one. How much of this do I want to actually work on? So this is from a fantasy novel that I started this year. I had a short story that I wrote. I took the idea of a selkie, a seal that can remove its skin and it's actually a beautiful woman. This is from Irish or Welsh folklore. You see this sometimes. I read a short story one time that was about the jackalope, which is a mythical American creature, and they could take off their skins. Writers use this frequently. The transformation aspect of it is fun to play with. So I had a short story and it just wasn't tight enough. It didn't work as a short story. But there was so much in it that I loved that I wasn't willing to give up on. And I really saw potential to expand it into a full-length novel. So that's what I've been working on this year. That's been one of my focuses. This is the very beginning of the story. So I have the first page and a half. I've gone through it several times and made several changes already. So everything that's in blue, I've either recently changed or I'm still thinking about how to change it. So the goals here, it's a little more casual. This is more about making sure I'm happy with previous changes. Are there still any glaring problems? And also, it's the introduction, it's the beginning. Does it grab the reader's attention? Man, I am not typing well today. So, The monster blew into the valley with spring's first gusts. That doesn't feel right. I've been toying with the language in this first sentence. I still don't like that. I do enjoy the monster blew into the valley. I think simple is better. The monster blew into the valley on the first gust of spring. With the first gust. With the first spring breeze. That's better. While Inu worked in her garden, long hair loose to feel the welcome winds, she could. Do you see the problem here? Feel and feel. Whoa. What happened? Ooh, that was strange. Long hair loose to feel the welcome winds, she could feel its presence, and she was no longer lonely. This is great. We have a problem. She was lonely. She kind of still is lonely. While Inu worked in her garden, long hair loose to embrace the wind, maybe instead of her garden, the garden. Her long hair loose to embrace the wind. She could feel its presence, and she was no longer lonely. Do I want that to be she could feel its presence and she was no longer lonely? Or she could feel its presence and was no longer lonely? There's options here. And she was no longer lonely. Her long hair loose to embrace the wind. It doesn't have to be long hair, because I think we'll get more description later of her. But I do like that. Her long hair loose to embrace the wind. She could feel its presence, and she was no longer lonely. She could feel the monster's presence. I'm worried about confusion. Well, her long hair loose to it, she could feel its presence. I mean, are people going to think I'm talking about the wind? I don't think so, but she could feel the monster's presence, and she was no longer lonely. I like that better. And I'm happy with this. So that's one paragraph. The garden grew in a small plot of land beside the restaurant. Inu planted it in the early spring when she could still see her breath in the morning. A stream sparkled at the garden's far end, fed by the tunnel. The shadowy iron rectangle beside the garden was tall and wide. Not as tall as Inu, who was in the middle of a growth spurt, but she could enter by crouching if she ever grew bold enough to do so. If a monster's lair existed, it was the tunnel. One thing that I've been considering is having certain words be big. The tunnel. The tunnel has a certain magical quality to it. So having it be capital as if it's the name of a singular place, because to Inu, it is a singular place. The tunnel. The garden is also a singular place. It's a small thing, but it could work and it could help to give her this special vocabulary, help give insight into her world and how she sees the world. She lives in this valley. There's one garden, there's one restaurant. Everything is singular to her. There's one monster. In the garden, and then make that big again. The tunnel. The shadow beside was tall and wide. Now, originally, I was gonna have the tunnel be taller than Inu, and it still should be. I don't know why I changed it. The shadow beside the garden was tall and wide. Still taller than Inu, who was in the middle of a growth spur. Not still. Taller than Inu, who was in the middle of a growth spurt, but still couldn't reach the top. The idea that she's not brave enough to enter the tunnel also doesn't fit with how her character has developed. Or the ceiling. Who was that? But still couldn't reach the ceiling, even if she cheated and jumped. Even if she cheated by jumping. Taller than Inu, who was in the middle of a growth spur, but still couldn't reach the ceiling, even if she cheated by jumping. Yes, much better. One reason this is better, one reason I like this more, is because this idea of cheating. Games are very important to Inu. She's a little girl, she's by herself, she's constantly making up games she can play by herself. So introducing that idea of cheating and her making games early is good. Mom called it a drainage pipe. Again, I made a very conscious decision to say mom. Not her mom, not my mom, not Inu's mom. It's mom. She's singular. She's the only mom in the world. Mom called it a drainage pipe, but Inu knew pipes were around. It came all the way from the academy on the other side of the hill. There was only one hill, and Inu had never been to the top. The only reason it might look strange if I start giving everything a sort of title, but I really, really think that looks good. There was only one hill, and Inu had never been to the top. The only thing that I can think of here is, do I want to introduce the tension? She's never been to the top, and there's a reason for that. One, she's not allowed to go over there. But two, she can't actually go there. If she tries to climb the hill, she gets a terrible headache that drives her back. And that's sort of the mystery in the first part of the book. Why is she getting these headaches? What do they mean? Inu had never been to the top. I think it's okay. Water trickled endlessly from the tunnel, playing music adults couldn't hear. In the winter, when her garden slept and the tunnel's water froze like a long icy tongue, there was always more water sliding across the top, trickling from darkness. Water I mean, I have trickled and trickling. So that's something I should definitely keep an eye on. I like to do a real quick dictionary search, and then I can look at my synonyms. Trickle, drip, dribble, drizzle, flow, run, spill, ooze, leak, pour, gush. It's slow. I don't want drip. I don't like dribble or drizzle. Flow, trickle. I like trickle. But trickling from darkness is better than water trickled endlessly from the tunnel, I think. Oozed, that doesn't fit. Leaked, seeped. Crawled, water crawled endlessly from the tunnel. Slipped endlessly from the tunnel. Water. I had the idea of sang endlessly from the tunnel, but we already have the playing music adults couldn't hear. I'm going to keep it for now. I'm going to keep the trickle and trickle. I'll look at that more later. Adults always seem to overlook the tunnel. Did I change all the instances of... No, I did not. The tunnel. I would say another goal is to keep an eye on repetition. Repetition. I don't want to keep saying the tunnel, the tunnel, the tunnel, the tunnel. I have the tunnel, water trickled endlessly from the tunnel, playing music adults couldn't hear in the winter when her garden slept, and the tunnel's water froze like along. There was always more water. Okay. Adults always seem to overlook the tunnel. So we already have 1, 2, 3. Where was 3? 3, 4. We have 5 mentions of the tunnel in just 3 paragraphs. That feels like a lot. In the winter when and the I think here we can just say the water. We're already talking about the tunnel. So that gets rid of 1. Inu didn't understand how they could ignore the dark portal. Making it something descriptive would be a great way to eliminate that repetition. Dark portal, that's the first thing that pops into my head. I'll take another look at that later. But that's much better, I think. It came all the way on the other side of the hill. There was only one hill in here. I'm happy with this. I'm going to change this. Adults always seem to overlook the tunnel. Another reason it made a great lair. Inu didn't understand how they could ignore the dark portal, which hummed with mystery and begged to be a part of a child's imaginings. Adults seemed too busy, lost in their own heads with worries and something Mom called stress. Inu was a constant source of stress. Mom said, "You're a pain in the neck." Okay. Making changes. Yeah, I'll keep things bold. Inu didn't understand how she could be, unless that was how she'd been born, starting as a pain in Mom's neck that grew into a baby. But that didn't seem right, because Mom rubbed her neck almost every night, wincing with her eyes closed, and though Inu kept expecting to wake up one morning with a baby brother or sister, it never happened. It's cute. Mom says, "You are a pain in the neck," and Inu takes it literally, as if she's a literal pain in the neck, that she grew from being a pain in the neck. Nothing I want to change there. Where did I come from? There should be a question mark. She asked one night while they were washing. "What do you mean?" Mom asked, pouring water over Inu's head while scrubbing away the bubbles that covered her like a second skin. This is still a rough simile. I'm not entirely pleased with it. That's the first thing that popped into my head, like a second skin. I want to make it more magical, more imaginative. I do enjoy the idea of Inu pretending that she has a bubble skin, so I might just need to expand it a little. So, where did I come from? What do you mean? When I was a baby, Inu said. "You grew in my belly," Mom said. She pointed to the bandage wrapped around her midsection, covering a long, thin line of brown on her back, just barely visible through the thick white cloth. Inu had never seen her without the wrapping. I'm very happy with that. Mystery. I'm trying to hook the reader. What's happening? What is this bandage? What's under the bandage? "Is that when you got hurt?" Inu asked. "I was hurt a long time ago," Mom said, pausing in the act of raising the bucket of water to pour more over Inu. Okay, so Mom said, pausing in the act of raising the bucket to pour more water over Inu. That's more concise. A little bit more concise, but every little bit helps. "She had dreamy eyes, which happened to Inu a lot." Happy with that. I feel like someone's about to come in here. I'm locking the door. Don't come in here. Just give me 5 minutes. Inu had is that I was hurt a long time ago, Mom said. "The healing couldn't heal it. The Hyline couldn't heal it." I don't want Hyline and heal right there. "The Hyline couldn't fix it?" she asked. "No," Mom said, shaking her head with enough force to shower drops of water on Inu's face. She giggled, wiping her eyes, and asked, "May I see it?" "No, you may not," Mom said, and dumped the remaining water from the bucket over Inu's head, ending the bath and their conversation. That's good. I'm happy with that. The healing. I don't know how to say that. Healing. I literally did a search for etymology of some word, doctor or healer. I think it was healer. Obviously, that looks similar to the word healer. Just to give my sort of magic users a different name, something I could call them. And I like the way it looks. So, are there any glaring problems? I feel like I fixed a couple of things. Does it grab the reader's attention? I think so. I'm going to look at the first paragraph again. I definitely found some repetition and dealt with it. Wrong thing. So, let's try to make things look nice. So let's look at the first paragraph again. The monster blew into the valley with the first spring breeze. While Inu worked in the garden, her long hair loose to embrace the wind, she could feel the monster's presence, and she was no longer lonely. I think it grabs the attention. There's a monster. We have some nice language here. We have a girl. She has a garden. She's not lonely anymore. And we also introduce the garden. We have the idea that the tunnel is a monster's lair. We're describing the tunnel. We're kind of forgetting about the monster. We've got this idea that she's a pain in the neck. We're going off on this little tangent, and then the next part, I believe we come back to the monster. I'm not sure, but I'm teasing. Hey, there's a monster. Well, where is it? Show me the monster. No, you gotta wait. You gotta read all this other stuff. I'm trying to keep things a little mysterious at the beginning. So that feels good. I believe that I addressed my goals there. I'm happy with that beginning. Oh, my nose. My nose is so itchy. Every time I make videos, my nose is itchy. That's it. That's all I wanted to do. Just make some very precise changes to those different things. And they're very different changes, obviously. The query letter, the short story bit. Here in the query letter, I really needed to work on making it concise, making it flow a certain way because it's a letter. The paragraph here, it was more about fleshing it out. It was a very, very rough draft. And then this final piece, the fantasy novel excerpt, it's something that I've already edited several times. So making those final decisions. What do I want to do with the language here? Is there repetition? Really fine-tuning it. I mean, hyper-focused. And then I'll probably have to get some other people to look at this and see what they think, see what stands out to them. That's good. I'm happy with all of that. That was really great. I hope you enjoyed that video. Look in the description down below. There's a lot more that you can find. My blog, my self-published novel. I have a stream on Twitch, and there are a lot of other YouTube videos. From the Height of a Mind, I'm Mike.